After 4 years of waiting, Eddie Gottlieb, the owner of the Philadelphia Warriors of the National Basketball Association, has finally signed Wilt Chamberlain. You know, basketball fans are waiting to see how you're going to do in the NBA, especially against players of great capabilities. Do you feel that you are ready for this?
Well, I actually do. I think there will be a period of orientation for me, of course, like it is for every newcomer in the NBA, but I think in the long run I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
What was it like to play alongside a guy who averaged, 50 points a game in a season? He averaged 50.4. I mean, every night you go out, you think, like, how can we lose? This guy's going to get us 50.
When he would score, people say, well, all he wants to do is shoot. He doesn't pass. He doesn't do any of those things. And so what he would do is he would be a little bit concerned that maybe his teammates were being upset. But one thing that he found out early on, that his teammates were very, very happy that he was scoring the points. And it allowed us to maybe be in more ball games than not. It's just hard for people to fathom what we talk about when we say what he did. He did things that just defy description. I can remember plays that he made that when I would talk about him, people said, no, he couldn't have done that. And I'm telling you, it's something that I saw. He was just a great, great basketball player.
Do you know what the NBA rebound record is?
It's 55 rebounds by Wilt Chamberlain.
You know who the other center was that night?
It was Bill Russell.
His second year in the league, 55 rebounds. That to me is incredible because, against Bill Russell, they were the two greatest rebounders in the history of the game. And Wilt averaged just under 23 rebounds a game. And one year he averaged 27.2 rebounds per game. And Russell, beat him in in those championships. But to go against Bill Russell, the great defender, and get 55 rebounds, so people say, well, he probably, they didn't have the big centers, they didn't have the good ones in those days. He wouldn't do that today. Yeah, he did it against Bill Russell.
Wilt Chamberlain's size, strength, and athleticism were unimaginable. He made large men appear small, and when he played, it seemed all too easy, almost unfair. His numbers were too big for comfort. He didn't just break records, he destroyed them. Basketball was Wilt Chamberlain's sandbox.
I remember one night, Lakers flew to St. Louis, and on the airplane, we'd been talking that day about Wilt Chamberlain. He's going to score 100 points against somebody pretty soon. And we get off the airplane, and the first stop was the bellman. Hey, did you guys hear what Wilt did tonight? No, he scored 100 points tonight.
Everybody looks at the 100-point game and the 50-point season. That's not what he did was the greatest thing in that season. He averaged over 48 minutes a game. No human being can do that. I mean, you score 100, you average over 50 in the same season, you average 27 rebounds and 10 to 12 block shots. How can you physically do that? Nobody can do that.
I came to the NBA as a defensive player. I used to like to go up and grab balls right out there. So everyone was afraid of my defensive game, more so than my scoring game.
I think probably Wilt dominated the game more than anyone else. And the reason I say that because Wilt could do it on both ends of the floor. Offensively, no one could guard him. And defensively, Wilt was going after every shot.
We played in Philadelphia, and so Wilt Chamberlain told me, he said, don't come into the paint tonight. And, being a smart aleck, I said, well, I'm going to come in there. The first time I got the ball, I went in for a layup. He did not try to block the ball at all. He blocked my body. He put me flat on my back, and I remember him coming and getting close to me and saying, the next time you come in here, I'll knock you flat on your butt again, as he was picking me up. And I says, I won't be back. And that whole night, I did not come back into the paint.
Physically, he was still the most imposing physical player that's ever played this league, period. There's no one that's come close to him in terms of just physical prowess. On top of that, he's a great athlete. And the last thing that created a problem was he was smart.
I grew up playing with Wilt and against Wilt. You know what he would say when we played together? He said, shoot it. I'm going to get it off the board anyhow. You're going to miss over 50% of your shots.
This guy could run.
Right.
He was huge.
Yes.
He was athletic. He could shoot the ball because the fadeaway bank shot was in part of his repertoire. Could he handle the basketball?
Well, he played with the Trotters. And if you play with the Trotters, you learn. He can go through the reams and he could do some things, but he didn't do them in the regular season, in the regular games, but he could handle the ball. And by the fact that he led the league in assists later on, showed he could pass the basketball. So Wilt had all the tools of any player. He didn't display them all the time because he was asked to do other things.
His strength, it just kind of reminds me. My first year was with the Celtics, and I saw the matchups against Bill Russell a lot in those days, only 10 teams in the league. But what reminds me, when you said strength, one time in a game, Casey Jones tied him up. He was really upset. And so Wilt Chamberlain picked up the ball with Casey still attached. And he picked it up with his arms extended, brought it to his chest, and threw a two-handed chest pass with Casey still on the ball. That's how strong he was.
There's a thing called innate strength. That's strength from within. And I run across people who say to me, well, Shaquille weighed 50 to 75 pounds more than Wilt, and he would be able to do whatever. Wilt would take Shaquille O'Neal and move him around like he was a rag doll.
Was he as good, Jim, do you think, if he had been 6'4"? Would we have heard of Wilt Chamberlain? Because to me, I think his gift is that he would have been a great basketball player no matter the size. His size, he used it, but he could have dunked on people repeatedly. He could have been a Shaquille O'Neal or a big, bulky guy inside. And I see so much of the video and so many of the stories are of his skill level and the size. Maybe the first guy with that combination ever in the history of the game.
Yeah, I think with his competitive spirit that he had, that's the one thing about Wilt. Wilt did not like to lose. He always wanted to win. So if he'd have been 6'4", 6'5", or 6'6", I think he would have had the determination. He probably would have had more of that killer instinct also to dunk the ball and destroy people. Because of his size, I think he really held back most of the time and didn't try to dominate with his physical body. And I thought, quite frankly, that he was more of a finesse player than a power player. And yet, when he did turn on the power and exert that physical presence, he was unstoppable.
We used to get on him a lot and say, Dip, you're not playing physical enough. Dip, when they put their hand over the rim like that, you should break it off. He said, no, I don't want to hurt anybody.
I saw Wilt Chamberlain once go to half court and make 20 out of 25 free throws from half court.
Wilt had a great shot outside. He used to win games at horse. But you never saw it because he knew where his value was. A lot of things he could do. That's why he enjoyed playing with the Globetrotters. How many guys can get in the circle of the Globetrotters and do what they do? He's 7'1". So you show what kind of dexterity, what kind of hand-eye coordination, what kind of rhythm he had. The circle for the Globetrotters is one of the most enduring things in the history of basketball, and he did that.
Wilt Chamberlain was a guy who played the game correctly. He played the game the right way and was a true giant, and not just in terms of height and size, but just in his impact on the game. He is right there. He is on Mount Rushmore with the other greats of the game.
Michael Jordan scored 50 or more points 31 times in his career. Impressive. Wilt did it 45 times in one season.
If I was conscious about thinking about, is anyone going to break this record? I would probably put that record way out of sight.